Shall we just really go to the beginning and say how we came to have this novel in our hands?
I read a review in the New York Times.
How was it?
The review was just medium, but it sounded like I would like it. And indeed, I ended up loving it viscerally, just viscerally. I responded to it, and I did something that I've never done before or since, and I counsel my students, never put up your own money. It's a business of OPM, other people's money. But I put up $1,000 of my own money to have an option to control the book. And the $1,000 I paid for the option at the time got me right here, because that was a lot of money to me. And indeed, the book only sold less than 2,000 copies.
I know, I'm always stunned by that fact that I've known forever, but I find it hard to believe.
But after the movie, in hardcover, the book sold several million.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, several million copies in hardcover.
So he owes you.
He doesn't owe me. You know what? That happens throughout life. I did everything self-interest for me. Even you derive benefit, all because of little old me. I just responded, and in my mind, I likened it a little bit to Harold Pinter, a playwright I liked. It's funny, but very nervous-making. And in fairness, The Graduate's a strange book. There's a reason it sold less than 2,000 copies.
And yet you bought one of his other books. Maybe you don't know this, you folks who are watching whatever this will become. But
yes,
Charles Webb wrote about 10 novels. Larry bought another of his books and directed it into a really fine and original film. It was Diary of a Young...
The Marriage of a Young Stockbroker.
Marriage of a Young Stockbroker.
And I learned the hard way, I'm no Mike Nichols.
Anyway, we responded so positively to The Graduate because basically Benjamin Braddock's story was my story.
Exactly.
Larry said it first, then Mike said it, then I said it. I wasn't going to be left out. It's my story. We all felt like total jerks when we were in college. And all the weird feelings you have between the ages of 15 and 23 or 4 are, I think, distilled in that book.
Anything wrong, sir?
What? No, nothing.
I knew when I read the book that the dialogue could be thrust into the mouths of actors and actresses.
Do you have any luggage, Mr. Gladstone?
And it would sound interesting and original and funny. Because Webb had a terrific ear for something.
But Benjamin Braddock seemed a little bit whiny, a pain in the ass to me. And partially we overcame that by the casting of Dustin, who has a sweetness, an ingenuousness, all those qualities that soften the edge.
Well, that's a little hard to say. Ben. Excuse me.
When the picture was finished, but some of the final music and stuff wasn't in, Mike showed it. It was at Paramount where I had rented off.
The Friends screening, yes, yeah, I was there.
And his friends were, as always, smart, top of the game in every field, certainly every aspect of showbiz. And in fairness, they all liked the movie. But more than several said to me, too bad you got that funny-looking kid in the lead.
That's true. That was the first thing lots of people said. Yeah. His nose is too big, his voice is too strangled, he walks a little funny.
Yeah.
He's got that strange rhythm to his speech.
Well, I have this very pleasant room on Carter Street. I've been getting to some classes.
But you're not enrolled.
No, I just sit in. They don't seem to mind. They've been very congenial about it.
All of which was true. None of which cut him out of the front of the pack, because he really is an interesting actor. And also, Mike told him really quite precisely what to do, and Dustin did it.
I chose Mike like the best decision I ever made in my life, outside of my family, off seeing Barefoot in the Park. It's the first thing he had directed, a stage play on Broadway.
It's known as a Neil Simon play.
Yeah, exactly. That point, and I thought it was oozing great direction, so I sent this to Mike. And I hired Calder Willingham, a very prominent novelist who had also written some scripts. One of my reasons being, they both live back east, proximity, Mike can work with them. Well, off Barefoot in the Park, Mike, like a rocket, never stopped directing, and he never met Calder Willingham. It fell to me to work with Calder Willingham. And the script that evolved was vulgar. He added all kinds of sexual overtones, undertones, and overt things. I told Mike, you're going to hate this script. When I gave it to him to read, I don't even know if he read it or not. He either trusted me or read it and concurred. And then it was Mike's idea to have Buck write the script. I can claim no credit for that. I'd like to, but I cannot.
Go ahead.
And Buck wrote, as you saw, a brilliant script. Out of professional courtesy and how I myself would like to be treated, I called Calder Willingham when the film was finished. I say, Calder, so you shouldn't hear this secondhand. You're not getting any credit as Buck's script. He never even saw yours. It didn't exist. I just want you to know it personally from me. Calder Willingham immediately registered a complaint with the Writers Guild. Maybe it was automatic. He himself hadn't read Buck's script, but he was reflexively looking for his place in the sun. Unfortunately, the Writers Guild, in their infinite wisdom, non-wisdom, gave Calder credit also. Everyone in the world who mattered in the business knew it was all Buck's script. But Calder's name is on it wrongly.
Every time one starts a script from some other work, the problems are identical. I mean, whether you're adapting a play or a novel or another film script, all of which I've done.
Oh, I guess this isn't the bathroom, is it?
And all of which any writer who's been around for a while probably has done.
Fine. Thank you, Mrs. Robinson. The bathroom's down at the end of the hall.
Such a pleasant room.
The Graduate had loads of quotable stuff in it and lots of funny moments that were fun to write around. And the characters were immediate and powerful. You didn't have to explain anything. As soon as they appeared on the screen, you know who they are, and you kind of have an idea of what's going to happen with them because their personality is so secure and well written.
I'd like you to come in till I get the lights on.
What for?
Because I don't feel safe till I get the lights on.
The book offered so much that Buck utilized a lot of the book in the script. So any panel judging who deserves credit looks at both scripts and sees that Calder also has the scene with Mrs. Robinson where she tried to seduce him as an example.
The Graduate, as you probably know, was then adapted for a stage play using the book and my script and made $1 million. I never saw it.
Nor did I, but part of his $1 million was the Mrs. Robinson role was so good, he always was able to cast, first in London, then in New York, a recognizable actress for commercial reasons to attract an audience.
A recognizable actress who could act and drop a towel.
As the lights dim down, yeah.
Yeah, and I think dropping towels is a big deal in the world of the theater. More attention should be paid to it. More towels should be dropped.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Nichols insisted on Panavision. And that brings a look that other lenses don't have. And if there's a cinematographer who knows how to use it, that makes it even better.
I previously made a movie I'm still very proud of, The Best Man, from Gore Vidal's Broadway play. Haskell Wexler was the cameraman, got him in the union. He was an indie cameraman. And then Mike used him on Virginia Woolf brilliantly. I think Haskell won the Academy Award. And I made a deal with Haskell to shoot The Graduate. And we're in preparing the film, I forget at what stage, but before shooting, and Haskell asked for a meeting with Mike and me together, and he quit the picture. He quit the picture because he didn't like the script. Now, Haskell, besides being a fabulous talent, is a guy of great integrity. He doesn't just take a job. He has tremendous integrity, and it probably took a lot from him to quit the picture.
He was appalled at what he said were the politics of The Graduate.
Educational for me, I'm fascinated.
He thought that the ideas in the Graduate were the worst kind of ideas in American life and politics.
Well, it's interesting. Haskell is a left-of-center liberal and a guy of integrity. And it makes, when I hear you say that, I say, it redounds to who he is. Nothing fake or false about him. So it was my task to give Mike check out other cameramen for Mike. And I had checked out Bob Surtees, I forget, with a couple of directors. I liked his work. And I told Mike, you know, Surtees is an old, crusty guy. I said old because I was 39 or 40 then, and Mike was probably 35, something like that. I said, he's old and crusty, but I think he could really do the job for you. Mike met him and agreed, and the rest is movie history. The picture looks terrific, but Surtees was crusty. I mean, Mike actually tread more softly with Surtees than anyone else on the crew.
I never met a cameraman who wasn't crusty. So there you are. Okay. But Mike always liked setting up shots. More complicated, the better. In the rooming house, Mike wanted to show things happening on various floors of the rooming house. So he had the crew attach their camera to some kind of a pole that went up from the ground floor to the top of the building. And the camera was fixed to the pole so it could go up and down with people going up and down the stairs.
I'd like to know who's living in my house. I'd like to know what my boys are up to.
I'm not up to much, actually.
It was very clever.
I'm just busy.
Yeah.
And I think people borrowed it in the immediate future to do other things. But at the beginning, everybody said, you can't do that. And they had reasons why. But people said that about every interesting idea. You can't do that.
I hadn't thought about that, about Mike asking for very difficult camera setups. Here's my experience with that. The church in The Graduate, the climax of the movie, is so right for the picture and so good. Dick Silbert, production designer extraordinaire, he found that church, and the church would not give us permission to shoot there. So as producer, I go to Mike and I say, Mike, sorry, we can't get that church. We have to start all over again. Mike turns to me, no, Larry, he says, that's the church I want. I go, whoops. So that's how I earned my money. I called a meeting of the church elders, and I went before them and told them, which I felt was the truth, but happily it proved to be persuasive. I said, this film is dealing with the kind of issues the church itself should be dealing with. contemporary situations that exist. And I got permission, but I'm only telling the story because it resonates. He pushes a cameraman to get the best possible work. He pushed me, the producer, because that church fulfilled his visual and staging ideas for the scene.
Mike is able to engender certain emotions from actors that other directors I've worked with can't or won't do. He can engender love and fear in equal amounts at the same time. But by the time the cast is assembled and starting to rehearse, they know that Mike knows the material better than they do, and they will never know it as well as he does.
Now, the ending is right from the book, but a major change is it's after the ceremony is completed. I was on an airplane with Mike from a San Francisco location scout coming back to Los Angeles, and he turned to me and he said, "What would you think if Dustin arrived at the church after the ceremony is consummated?" And I, square middle class, said, "Oh my God," I mean, I was stunned. And I didn't know what to say.
Mike said, "We can't have him arrive and take her away while everyone's there. It's like the cavalry comes in at the last minute, kills the Indians, and runs off with the kidnapped girl. It's too corny, I can't do it." The main antagonist to this idea was Charles Webb. He said it's an asinine ending. It's everything Benjamin Braddock is not. He never would do something that anti-social, which I thought was kind of silly.
Yeah. I'm so glad I was invited to do this because I'm learning stuff. What Buck just said about Webb and the ending, I did not know.
Can you encapsulate the best argument of the studios for not making the film? I was stunned when you said, "This can't be a studio film, they've all turned it down." Who among them, if you remember, was the most cogent arguer against making the film?
Well, generally, when the studio says no, and believe me, I've been in the receiving end of many, many no's, they rarely give you a reason, or they give you a one-liner. David Picker was an executive at United Artists. Lovely guy, very successful career. I gave him The Graduate, and he said, not for me, he said, "It's not funny." And Larry Turman, being a petty guy, remembered that. And when we previewed in New York at Lowe's 72nd, the audience tore the roof off, laughing throughout.
That's a metaphor.
They were laughing their hearts out. And and the picture ended, and I walked out in the lobby, and David Picker was standing there, because by then, his company, United Artists, had bought foreign distribution rights. And being at my most petty and vengeful, I walked up to him, looked him in the eye, and said, "Not funny, huh?" I couldn't resist. And so Joe Levine was my savior. He was a promoter, an exhibitor, an importer of films, a hustler, but very good at his trade. And luckily for me, he saved my fanny. The Graduate wouldn't have been made had he not agreed to finance it.
Joe owned a theater in Massachusetts. And then one day, Joe bought a couple of Hercules films. I have a special love for the Hercules films because in the 50s and 60s, I made most of my living dubbing foreign films. All the Japanese, Russian, German, and mostly those. So Joe had these two Hercules films, and he put them in his theater, and he played them over and over again, and he made a fortune. And he thought, well, I might as well bet on the horses that are always out in front. So he bought Mike, and he became a world-famous producer.
He fully financed The Graduate, $3 million. Even in those days, that was inexpensive.
Gene Hackman was originally playing Mr. Robinson, and so there were 2 or 3 weeks of rehearsals while Mike laid out all the scenes.
3 full weeks of rehearsal, rare, but 3 full weeks.
Yes, all of which was interesting. And then one day I came to the studio at a fairly early hour for me, which is any time before 3 in the afternoon. And somebody said, well, Gene's gone. Mike replaced him. And I was stunned.
I was too. I myself saw very little difference between Murray Hamilton, who played Mr. Robinson, and Gene Hackman.
I watched you grow up, Ben.
Yes, sir.
In many ways, I feel as though you were my own son.
Well, yeah, it's good. If you're going to fire someone, it's good to replace them with somebody really interesting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you've not made a point, and you've caused yourself a lot of grief. And I said to him, of course, immediately, what have you done? Why did you do this? And he said, Gene can't play middle class. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, look at him in his movies. He can play real basic stuff, street stuff, and he can move differently and talk differently and play an upper class kind of person, but he can't play middle.
I myself think Gene would have trouble playing upper class. I understand lower class than middle.
Well, I give you examples if I were clever or if I had had more time to think about this. But then in the subsequent years, I saw what he was talking, or I thought I saw what Mike was talking about. I still think Gene's a great actor. And he got his revenge immediately because that subsequent year he did Bonnie and Clyde. He was up for an Academy Award. You know, his career was flourishing.
French Connection.
Right? Yeah.
I'll add something, just an emotional response. It was a very happy experience. Mike, super smart, as I've said, super talented, not always easy.
Supercilious?
Supercilious, but he was demanding, but always for the quality. The example is, no, Larry, that's the only church I want. But we had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs along the way. Mike and I were interviewing actors, and we're looking for the girl who, in the movie, in the first date between Dustin and Catherine Ross, he takes her to a nightclub where a performer is twirling her breasts, tassels on her breast. So our casting director brings us in a girl who does it for us. And we look great. She leaves the room. I turn to Mike. I say, yeah, she'd be fine. She works great. And Mike says, you know, though, Larry, this is such an important part. I think we should see everyone in town for this before deciding. That's the kind of, I mean, Buck's smiling as I relate the story. That's the kind of things that happen when you're making a picture with Mike Nichols.
How many twirlers did you see, do you think?
We only saw the one. He just wanted to me the chuckle. We saw I mean, pretty hard to round up many people who can do that. There's probably others, but
and some of them are men, and you don't want to see that.
Right.